All right, it is 6:30 on the dot. Thank y'all for coming tonight. We are going to start with our invocation and our pledge. I'm going to turn it over to the Mayor Pro Tem to introduce our guest tonight for that.
Yes, thank you everyone for coming tonight. I'd like to introduce Mr. Greg Lightsey. He's here in the front row. He's going to lead us in our invocation and then lead us in the pledge. Greg is a local resident of Mulberry, District 2, Mayor Coker's district. He is also a Scoutmaster for Troop 1597. And has been for many, many years. We've moved back to Mulberry in 2018, and Greg's been Scoutmaster since that time period. I know his family very well. His wife is also involved in Scouts, and his son Caleb has been involved in Scouts since he was in first grade and is now a senior in high school. I believe it's passed his Eagle already. Yeah, it's already passed his Eagle. This troop is very, very active. That's what makes it successful. They do a lot of activities together. And that's led by Greg and a number of other adult active leaders within the troop. And so I just want to say thank you for coming, leading us in the invitation and the pledge.
All right. Let's pray. Father, as we come before you tonight, we praise you for being our creator. During tonight's meeting, I ask that you guide the commissioners, our city councilmen's hearts and minds so that their decisions are as one. We know we will never be able to please everyone, and difficult decisions have to be made. We ask that you to guide these decisions and they will be honorable to you. Thank you for your blessings. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen. Let's everyone stand if you can. Say our pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mayor, can I get a picture with someone that the council is to get back to me? Sure. Hey Greg, if you don't mind, just come up here. I'm gonna have someone take a picture just so I can get it to you, just for coming tonight. You mind taking a picture, sir? Sure. Thank you. Here, you come in the middle.
How many do we have? You want me to get everybody in?
Yeah, come on in.
All right. Got everybody? Yep. There we go.
Thank you.
You want to double check it?
I trust you. Better than I could do. Thank you. Great.
All right, thank you. As I said, tonight is the January 30th, 2025 meeting for the Mulberry City Council. Thank you everybody for being here. We have quite a few different things to run through some various and very unique and different things that we're going to talk a little bit about. The first thing that we're going to do, as we always do, is do a roll call. So I'm going to call it in order of the districts. The District 1 Council Member Tim Sullivan. Present. District 2 Council Member Michael Coker, that is me. I am present. District 3 Council Member Kyle Shields.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem from District 4 Michael Rudnick.
Here.
And the District 5 Council Member Doug Ingram.
Present.
Madam Clerk, could you note that all 5 council members are present this evening? The first thing we have just is the mayor's opening comments, and I want to kind of talk a little bit about kind of just the process and what's been going on behind the scenes. I know you may not think that maybe much is going on, but I promise you a lot's been going on behind the scenes. There's been a lot of people hard at work. Just to recognize a couple people, the city attorney, Mr. Riley, Michelle Milkey in the back. They are the 2 lawyers that have been helping the city. They've been doing tremendous work. CPL, Rebecca's here again tonight, working hard on the licensing and permitting. We're going to talk a little bit about the licensing tonight, what to expect and what's going to be upcoming regarding lifting parts of that moratorium. So there has been a moratorium put in place for pretty much all of the services in Mulberry. But what's the plan is that we are going to roll those services back a little bit at a time, or roll that moratorium back a little bit at a time. So what's going to end up happening is, for example, we rolled back already the permitting for emergency situations. So let's say there's someone who, God forbid, a tree fell on their house, right? And they have to get back in their home, or they had an electrical fire. Those would be emergency situations. They are already authorized to come to the city, get their permits, get their inspections, and move forward so they can get back in their house. We expect that shortly we'll be able to lift additional permits as well. So people who maybe want to redo their bathroom, redo their kitchens, put a pool at their house, we expect those items will be rolled back shortly. And then it will continue to see a rollback over the next maybe month and a half or 2 months. The last item that will typically be rolled back will be the variances for the zonings. Just because we've talked a little bit about that, we are currently, every one of the council members are working on finding representatives from the districts to be on the community development board, the planning commission, to make zoning decisions in Mulberry. If you still are interested in that, and that is still something that you are interested in doing, I encourage you to reach out to your individual district rep, let them know, because that is definitely something. We're going to talk a little bit more about that. So that is all I have for opening comments. Does anyone on the council have some opening comments this evening?
No, other than just say thanks for coming, encourage your friends to show up. It's the best way to know what's going on, as opposed to social media where people just say what they say and they don't know what they don't know. Come to the meetings, you'll find out, you can ask questions and that sort of thing, so thanks for coming.
Yeah, and if you can't do it, just spread the word for community involvement. I'm a big believer in getting the people involved, being part of the whole process. And we're making history, we're starting a brand new city, so be a part of that history, help out. We're here to, we need help. We're here for you.
The only thing I have, echo what these gentlemen say, but also for District 4, I'm going to utilize my Facebook page, campaign Facebook page, for a little bit of communication. But every other Saturday, likely from 9 to 11, 8 to 10, 10 to 12, something like that, I'm going to host just some open office hours up here at City Hall. So anybody from District 4 that wants to come, has questions, suggestions, ways to get involved, anything like that.
I mean, anybody can come, right? If you
Yeah.
have a question.
I'm happy to sit down with you and answer any questions or take suggestions, take notes, things like that. So that'll be on my official Facebook page. You can just go on Facebook, look for my name, and it'll pop up, and that will be how I'll communicate that.
Only thing I'd like to add is, we formed a public communications committee at one of our first meetings, and I know, in fact, I think there's a resident in the 5th district here that had mentioned just the need to really communicate and articulate well to the folks in the community about kind of what we're doing. So that's the goal of the public communications committee. So if you have an interest in being involved, please see me afterwards. We desperately need help, and part of our impact there that we want to make is to make sure information is flowing well and we're getting answers to the folks that need it across whatever social media channel we may utilize. So, thank you.
Thank you, council members, and I'll add too, we are very easy to get in touch with. I know every one of these gentlemen on the stage are very, they have their emails published, they answer their social media. So if you have a question, by all means, don't be scared, reach out. We're more than happy to help you where we can. All right, let's move on to item G, which is consideration of the January 23rd, 2025 minutes. Has the council been able to review the January 23rd, 2025 minutes? Is there any errors, amendments, or omissions?
I tried to find them, I couldn't.
Okay, hearing none, then I will entertain a motion to adopt the January 23, 2025 minutes.
I'll go ahead and make a motion to adopt the January 23, 2025, dating myself, 2025 minutes.
Thank you, Councilman Sullivan. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Shields. Any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All in favor? All opposed? Okay, by a vote of 5, the January 23rd, 2025 minutes are hereby adopted. Okay, the next item is the consideration of tonight's meeting agenda. Is there any discussion or amendments to the meeting agenda for January 30th, 2025?
Mayor, if I may, I'd ask that you remove item I from the action items under K. We have not been able to get the government window payment processing system agreement from the potential vendor at this point in time. We thought we would have it by today, but we should have it by next week. So I'd ask that you remove I from the, amend the agenda to remove item I.
Any other amendments to tonight's agenda from the council?
Mayor, I just wanted to confirm regarding what you spoke about with security. Is that on there?
Yeah.
That's action item KA.
Understood. Thank you.
And then the resolution.
I got you.
Right.
Yeah, in your packet, if they should be in order, so you should be able to flip through as we go, and all the resolutions should be in order. Any other amendments? All right, hearing none, I will make the motion as requested by the city attorney to remove item I under action items, which is the consideration of agreement for government window payment processing system. Do I have a second? Second. Thank you. Any discussion? Hearing none, I will call the vote. All in favor? All opposed? Okay, so the agenda is amended. At this time, I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Make a motion to approve tonight's agenda as amended.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor? All opposed? Okay, by a vote of 5, tonight's agenda for January 30th, 2025 as amended is hereby adopted. The next item up is public comments, and Madam Clerk has a clipboard. If you would like to make public comments, we limit that to 2 minutes for each person. She will keep the time. The only request we have is that you also sign her clipboard. So if there's anyone that would like to make public comments, you may do so now.
I'll sign it. My name's Wayne Stapsel. I live at 3262 Stapsel Drive. And I just want to ask the mayor and the council to remember that there aren't active farms in the city of Mulberry. So, you know, a lot of times I hear about certain times that you're supposed to use engines or motors or something. If I have an animal down or a tree on a pasture, or if I'm cutting hay or bush hogging, time doesn't mean anything to a farmer. It's really just when you can do it when the weather allows. So I try to be a good neighbor, and I generally have good neighbors, but I also have 28 neighbors that touch my property that goes around. So there's a lot of people that are surrounding me. So I would just ask the council if they would always remember, I'm not the only one, but there are a few farms that still active with animals and crops and stuff. So that's my comment.
Thank you, Mr. Stansel.
And he is a wonderful neighbor, by the way. I'm one of the 28.
You moved on to a street with his own last name? That's great.
Yeah, I know.
Anyone else? Would anyone else like to make public comment?
Hi, my name is Milan. I'm a resident of District 5. I'm a resident of Decula for about 20 years now at this point, so I've been here for a very long time. I just wanted to say that I have been trying to review the agendas that are listed on the website. There are 3 agenda meetings that are just blank PDFs. Those are January 1st, January 2nd, and January 3rd. Especially because those meetings are so hard to attend because of the dates, I do think that it's very important that those be posted. So that's just what I have to say.
Thank you for the heads up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyone else? All right, hearing none, I'll go ahead and close the public comment. Thank you for that. The next item, item J, is a first read of an ordinance, and so I will pass this over to Mr. Riley.
Thank you, Mayor. This is item J, or section J, item A, first read of franchise ordinance granting permission and consent to Jackson Electric Membership Corporation's successors, lessees, and assigns to occupy the streets and public places of the city of Mulberry, and constructing, maintaining, operating, extending poles, lines, cable, equipment, and other apparatus for transmitting, distributing electricity, and for other purposes. This is a first read. After we pass that, we would send it back to Jackson Electric Membership, and they will determine all the sites in the city that they touch. But we'll have to have a second read on it at a later time.
Any questions from the council? Okay, hearing none, that will conclude the first read of that ordinance. Is there a number to that ordinance,
Yes,
Mr. Riley?
It's 2025-01-135.
135, okay, so that concludes the first read of ordinance 2025-01-135. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Okay, moving on to action items K. The first item is the adoption of security services for council meetings and court. I will tell the public that I am going to recuse myself from this because I have a familial relationship by marriage with a member of the Gwinnett County Police, so I am going to go ahead and recuse myself. I will let the Mayor Pro Tem take this over.
Thank you. You all have seen the resolution in your packet for adoption of security services for council meetings and court. Are there any questions about that? It should be right after your minutes.
None, sir.
Nope, okay. Hearing none, I will make a motion to, is there a resolution number on that one?
This is simply an action item on that one.
Okay. Not a resolution?
You can adopt it by resolution if you desire to,
Okay.
or you could just authorize it as an action item.
Okay. I'll make a motion to adopt, for the adoption of security services for the council, meetings and court as presented. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll ask for a vote. All in favor? Any opposed? All right, by a vote of 4-0, this passes.
All right, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. All right, moving on to action item B, which is Resolution 250117. This is the adoption. If you've come to our meetings in the past, we have talked a lot about the hazard mitigation plan. And for those of you that missed those meetings, the hazard mitigation plan is kind of the plan that we have in Mulberry, where we coordinate with the county and the state of Georgia if there ever was a catastrophic event in the city. So basically, this hazard mitigation plan talks about what potential hazards could be, and the actions that we're going to take to try to mitigate those hazards, kind of nip them in the bud before it happens. And so the council's worked very hard on this in coordination with Gwinnett County. The Gwinnett County Emergency Management Department has been fantastic in working with us and including us in making sure that we are a part of this, and they have given us their support as far as making sure that we stay safe in our community. And so Resolution 250117 is the ordinance that basically will deal specifically with the adoption of that plan that we've discussed so much. So is there any discussion from the council regarding that hazard mitigation plan or this Resolution 250117, which would adopt the same?
Mayor, I got a quick question. In this last snowstorm we had, did we have any learnings about how well our mitigation plan? I mean, I know we all had individual experiences, but I don't know if that was, do we feel like that was an effective communication between ourselves and Gwinnett County?
Great question. So I do. I mean, I feel like Gwinnett County has done a fantastic job of providing us with updates throughout the entirety of the winter storm. If you flip over to the last page, Table 107, which is the mitigation actions. So in coordination with the county, interestingly enough, if you look at potential action item 1.3.24 is the purchase of winter weather salting and sanding equipment for the city. So obviously this is something we might not be able to afford. You can see the proposed cost there is about $100,000.
Maybe get their shovels.
Yeah. But basically, we will, that is in the plan, that when the funds present themselves and we are able to, that is one of the priorities for our city. Great question. Any other questions?
Which one is that one?
Right here. If you go to table 107, yeah, item 1.3.24, and the reason it's dotted 24 because that is the 24th item that on the county's list. So when they synthesize it with the county, that is the 24th item under that header.
It's gonna be more than $100,000.
I think I have one other question, because I know this has come up a couple times, which is the Duncan Lake Dam. So is it a correct statement that there are some federal funds available potentially for us?
So there are. So in order to receive grant money, so the way that federal funds rely is they start at FEMA, the federal government, and they flow to GEMA, the Georgia State Agency, and then we have to request them from GEMA. Now the good news is GEMA traditionally has had a lot of funding, especially with the way the hurricane that came through, if you're familiar with that. And so we will have to file for it an application for a grant to GEMA to get those funds. And in order to apply, it has to be listed in this hazard mitigation plan. So again, if you go to item 7.2.23, you'll see the item is rehabilitation of the Duncan Lake Dam. And obviously, this is important to me because in District 2, I mean, that's in District 2.
Yeah,
and obviously, it's a dam that definitely needs to be addressed.
Yeah, no, I saw it on there, so that's excellent. So the idea is that some of the proposed costs to mitigate might be able to be
think
handled
it's a
from a
percentage.
different, it is,
They
okay.
offer a percentage of proposed projects.
Correct, yes, so,
Up to a certain amount.
yes, so they won't pay, the federal grants won't pay the full amount, but it will pay a large percentage, and then the city would be responsible for the difference, and,
It's probably based on a matching factor. We have to show that we've got the matching funds to, for them to come in and match the funds or match plus what we've
Got it.
proposed that we're gonna present.
That's all for me, thank you.
any other questions or comments? Okay, then at this time, I will make a motion to adopt resolution 2025-0117, which is a resolution to include the municipal boundaries as part of the Gwinnett County Multi-Jurisdictional Hazard Mitigation Plan, which is basically us submitting ourselves to be included in Gwinnett County's emergency preparedness plan. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Any other discussion? All right, hearing none, I'll call a vote. All in favor? All opposed? Okay, by unanimous vote of 5, resolution 2025-0117 to include the city of Mulberry as part of the Gwinnett County Multi-Jurisdictional Hazard Mitigation Plan is hereby adopted. Okay, next up is item C under action items, resolution 25-0118, which is the consideration of council, city manager, and city clerk indemnity. Mr. Riley, would you like to explain this to the council, please?
Yes, there are times that strategically, someone might try to sue you individually, rather than in your official capacity. You're covered in your official capacity, under our policy with GERMA. What this does is this says that you have a policy that you will indemnify individuals who are acting within their scope, and that would be yourselves, the city manager, the city clerk, when they're acting in their scope, and somebody tries to attack them personally and sue them personally rather than sue them in their official capacity. You have to be acting in good faith, doing what you're supposed to do, but that's what is required. It also gives you the opportunity, if you desire to go ahead and you've authorized yourself to get an insurance policy to cover that also in the event you didn't want to self-insure. It doesn't require that you do that, and we have reserved all the sovereign immunity that you're entitled to also.
And this is fairly standard operating practices for governments. Just to verify that as well. This does not cover any type of gross negligence by a council member or city manager, anything like that. If there's some rogue act that a member of this office or staff does, they're still subject to penalties and potentially being.
That's right, and it's within the purview of the council to make the determination as to whether the act would have been covered. And there's an administrative process that if someone wants to appeal the adverse determination, that they can go to the Superior Court of Gwinnett County to get a final ruling on that.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Riley? Any other discussion on this resolution? I will say that obviously, I feel this is extremely important, especially given some of the lawsuits that we faced as a city, and some of the ongoing litigation that seems to continue and never end, that this will just provide an extra layer of protection for the council members should that route be taken. So I encourage my fellow council members to consider and vote for this ordinance. Any other questions or discussion? All right, hearing none, I will make the motion to adopt resolution 2025-0118, which is a resolution providing indemnity coverage for council, the city manager, and the city clerk for if they are sued in their individual capacities. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All in favor? All opposed? Okay, it's unanimous. Resolution 25-0118, which provides indemnity to the council members, the clerk, as well as the city manager for in their individual capacities, is hereby adopted. Okay, moving on to item D, resolution 25-0119 is adoption of an open records fee schedule. Ladies and gentlemen, what this item is when you submit an open records request to the city, which it is your state and legal right to do so, You can request documents from the city. The city is allowed to charge a reasonable cost in obtaining those documents, right? And so this is a proposed ordinance number 2025-0119. It includes a fee schedule that has I believe it's very reasonable, and it doesn't even it provides notice to the requestor if the amount is going to be over $25, so you get notice ahead of time within 3 business days. And then there's different amounts or different charges. Is there anything you'd like to say about this, Mr. Riley?
Just that this is the state amount. We've adopted this. This is what all the cities adopt, is the amount that's outlined in the OCGA section that's within your resolution.
Thank you.
And the dollar amount per hour is just the lowest paid qualified employee.
Yes.
Retrieve that information
That's-
as well as redact it.
Yes.
Okay.
Is there any other questions or discussion about Resolution 2025-0119 pertaining to rules for open records requests and the fee schedules?
I'm just curious, Mayor, how many of these have we had in the time we've been a city? Couple, maybe 7?
Yeah, I was gonna say that's the Madam Clerk could probably answer that better.
Same person or 7 different people?
A mix of
Yeah.
different people.
Okay. Any other questions or discussion? Hearing none, I will take a motion for Resolution 25-0119.
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution 25-0119 as presented.
Do I have a second?
I'll-
Motion.
Thank you, Councilman Ingram. Any other discussion? Hearing none, I will call a vote. All in favor? All opposed? Okay, by a vote of 5, that the Resolution 25-0119 pertaining to rules for open records requests and the fee schedule is hereby adopted. Okay, flipping over to the back side. Moving to item E under action items, Resolution 25-0120, which is naming an open records custodian and an alternate. The city is allowed to designate an individual who will be the primary person to receive open records requests. I propose in this resolution that we appoint Chandler Faith Pitts, who's the city clerk, who is in the best position to respond to these, to be the primary person. I also, you know what, I'm gonna,
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of earlier.
yeah, I think there's a
Who's Pamela?
typographical error. So if you'll go to now therefore under item 1, it says, Chandler Faith Pitts, city clerk, is designated as the open records custodian, and Leo Frangus, am I saying that right, Leo? He also works in the office. He's the secondary person if Ms. Pitts is unavailable. And if you could strike through, I would make a motion to amend that resolution to strike through Pamela D. Turner. It looks like that's just a Scrivener's error. To change that to say the city clerks.
Yes, Mayor, the 2 names that were on there previously were in a draft document. The later document did not make it into your packet because it was printed a little earlier.
Okay.
Mayor, I
But-
do have a claim.
Do you have a clean copy? That'd be great.
We do have the clean copy here.
Thank you, Ms. Milky. I appreciate that. Perfect. Thank you. Okay, so would y'all like to take a look at that real quick? We'll pass it down. For sure.
Yeah, that's the only place I saw a name issue.
Perfect. Okay, so this would appoint, again, the city clerk as the primary receiver of those open records requests and the custodians of those records, and then Leo Frangus as the backup alternate. Is there any discussion about resolution 2025-0120? Okay, and then at this time, I'll entertain a motion to adopt resolution 25-0120.
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution 25-20-0120.
I'll second.
Okay, any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All in favor? All opposed? All right, resolution 2025-0120, adopting the city clerk as well as Leo Frangus as the open records officer is hereby adopted. All right, thank you, Ms. Milky. That's why we got the best crew in the business right here. Okay, moving on to item F, resolution 25-0121, which is, remember at the beginning of this, I talked about how we have passed that moratorium and we're slowly kind of amending or rolling it back a little bit at a time. I'm going to turn this over to Rebecca Kiefer from CPL, if you could kind of explain this resolution for us.
Absolutely. So last week we requested for the lifting of the moratorium for occupational tax renewal certificates and are prepared to issue our first certificates tomorrow, should there be folks prepared to do so. What we are asking for now is to be able to issue those for new business licenses starting February 5th, so Wednesday of next week. We are in the final stages. The process is similar, but there are a couple additions for new licenses that include kind of a use verification and in some cases a life safety inspection. And so as we add those kind of to the workflow of the renewal certificates in the portal, then we will be ready to be up and running and accept those and start and put people through that process starting on Wednesday. So we are asking for that moratorium to be lifted for that very specific and defined purpose, to be able to issue new certificates starting February 5th.
Is there any questions from the council?
No, that's exciting.
Yeah, it's thank you, Rebecca, for all you're doing, obviously. So obviously we can already take the renewals. This will allow people who are starting businesses in Mulberry, which obviously we love people who want to come and start businesses in Mulberry. This will allow them to move forward on that. So at this time I will entertain a motion to adopt resolution number 2025-0121.
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution 2025-01-21.
Okay, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Shields. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All in favor? All opposed? All right, by a vote of 5, resolution 2025-0121, a resolution amending the moratorium adopted January 3rd for new occupational tax certificates is hereby adopted. Okay, moving on to item G. Ms. Kiefer, I'm going to turn this back over to you on this one as well.
Yes, sir. So to explain the resolution before you, there is a process, local issuing authority, that will allow us, once the moratorium for land disturbance permits is lifted, will allow us to do plan reviews for land disturbance under an acre, as well as inspections for those projects. So it's the smaller development projects. If we were to lift the land disturbance permit moratorium today, we would still the state would still need to issue those permits because we don't have the LIA. So this is kind of the first step to be able to getting that. There is a set of paperwork that just says we have all of the certifications, have all the ordinances in place, and have the support of city council to be able to pursue this. So this is a resolution demonstrating that support and that we have all of the appropriate inspectors and certifications in place to be able to manage that program for the city.
And Ms. Kiefer, do you feel confident at CPL you have the staff that can handle that?
Sure.
Perfect. Any other questions?
Ms. Cooper, what happens in developments over an acre?
Over an acre, they get sent to the state. There is a process, a more involved process to where that could all stay in-house. But they, over an acre and over 5,000 square feet of disturbance, get sent to the state for plan review. But then they allow us, as an LIA, they allow us to do the inspections for those projects.
Gotcha. In longer term, our objective would be to be able to have the necessary capability to do over an acre, I guess, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
And is that a long process to get that?
It's a little bit longer. The first time I went through the process, it was a little it was a road less traveled than LIA. That's very common. MOU is a little bit less common, but it's still accomplishable. Paperwork, showing, documentation.
Gotcha.
demonstrating that you're
6-month
confident.
process or more?
I don't know on the MOU. I can say on the LIA, there is a max 60-day process to look at our application for the request.
And for those in the public, so what we're talking about is for the land disturbance permits. So that would allow the city of Mulberry to, in essence, issue our own land disturbance permits as opposed to having to go to a state agency to have them do that as well. Any other questions from the council or discussion?
I have one more, Mr. Mayor, apologies. On the items that go to the state, are they mandated to return a response within a certain period of time? I think you said they are, but.
Yes. Are you talking for plan review or for the application?
Application over, so in a scenario where so under an acre, we're good, right? We can kind of, we have the.
Once we
autonomy
receive
to-
the LA.
yeah.
Mhm.
Over an acre, is there?
There is, I can't quote that time period. Right now, I want to say it's 30 days, but that they're
So
supposed
there
to.
is something,
There-
even though we have to
yes.
go to the state, they are mandated.
They have a
to come
maximum
back.
time period to review.
Any other questions? All right, hearing none, I will entertain a motion to adopt resolution 2025-0122.
Make a motion to adopt resolution 2025-0122.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Do I have a second? Thank you, Councilman Shields. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor? All opposed? All right, it's unanimous. Resolution number 2025-0122, requesting certification as a local issuing authority under the Georgia Erosion and Sedimentation Act is hereby adopted. All right, Ms. Kiefer, we are moving on to item G, which is resolution 25-0123. I'll let you explain that one as well.
What you have before you is the model soil erosion, sedimentation, and pollution control ordinance that is incorporated into the Unified Development Ordinance that we have adopted ultimately for the final time last week. What this is demonstrating to Environmental Protection Division that we have adopted these and certifying that. So it is on your agenda for this to be, to accompany that application to EPD to be able to demonstrate that we've got everything in place to be able to properly manage this program.
Where did these come from?
This comes from EPD.
Okay.
And EPD is the Environmental Protection Division?
Yes, sir.
Thanks.
The state arm of EPA.
Any other questions about resolution 25-0123? I noticed, Ms. Kiefer, there's a couple blanks in here. Do we need to fill those in? It's like, I think it's just referencing maybe our local soil and water and conservation district.
I actually think, and this is just their model ordinance that they want us to sign to say that we've adopted it. There are a couple of blanks that are just kind of Scrivener's errors in the document. So that's, I think there's a blank at the top, but a couple of the other
Like
ones are
number
just
12
Scrivener's.
and.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Okay, any other questions about this document? All right, then I'll entertain a motion to adopt resolution 25-0123.
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Sullivan. I made the motion, Councilman Sullivan was the second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I will call a vote. All in favor? All opposed? All right, resolution 25-0123, which is the model soil erosion, sedimentation, and pollution control ordinance, is hereby adopted. All right, thank you, Ms. Kiefer, I appreciate it. I believe we are skipping item I at the request of Mr. Riley. Item J is consideration of AT&T Telesystem Internet Agreement for City Hall. Last week, we talked about having a number that would be an authorization for the mayor or the mayor pro tem to make decisions for purchasing that were under $1,000. We have an item here that is a service agreement for internet service for this building. Okay, so that if you're watching this delayed after we posted it online, it's because we don't have internet service and we can't live stream it. And so once we can sign this, we had to come to the council because the cost is $243 a month for the full high-speed internet service we're going to have here, business service. And so obviously that, if for a 1-year agreement, that puts it over that $1,000 limit, and we need to bring that to the council. So is there any discussion about the agreement with AT&T and the telesystem regarding internet service for City Hall?
Yeah, is AT&T the big AT&T Mobile, or is that somebody else just using those initials?
I believe it's the AT&T.
Mobile,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah.
Because I had never heard of Telesystems. We have their home internet, and I know it's just all AT&T stuff.
Yeah. That's my understanding, is that this is like a branch of AT&T.
And we got these folks from the internet folks, or?
Yeah, so our contractor for IT service, Interdev, had recommended this service.
Gotcha.
Any other questions from the council? All right, hearing none, I will take a motion.
I'll make a motion to accept, excuse me, the AT&T Telesystems Internet Agreement for City Hall. And just to be clear, it's only our offices, it's not the entire building.
Thank you. And do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Any other discussion? And I should clarify, sorry, Councilman Sullivan. So your motion is to accept this, and is
Yes.
it also to allow the mayor to sign the contract and bind the city?
Sure is.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you. And then Mayor Pro Tem, you have a second on that?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. All right, any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All in favor? All opposed? All right, by a vote of 5, it is approved that the telesystem agreement is hereby adopted, and the mayor is authorized to sign and execute that on behalf of the city. So hopefully we'll have a live stream next week. Stay tuned. Item K is our last action item we have, which is the consideration of the go-to phone system agreement for City Hall. I have the quote presented in front of you, which was provided to Madam Clerk. This is through Interdev again, and this is for phone service for the city. So this would allow them to have the proper phone service that they would have to take phone calls from constituents or to make phone calls as needed. Any questions about the phone service?
Yeah, just curious, is it old school physical phones, or is it a soft phone and a cloud-based system?
It's my understanding that this is Madam Clerk, you might be able to help me out. It's a voice over IP phone, right?
Right, okay.
It's an internet phone, basically.
Yeah. So they'll have it on their computers or whatever,
Yes.
as opposed to a phone on the desk.
And I would like to say this as well. CKH, who's one of our consultants, some of their employees are here. They've been very kind to us. They have basically been allowing us to use their phone system up until this point, which was very kind. And so this would basically allow us to then have our own phone system for the city.
Cool, very good.
Are these bills are gonna come straight to City Hall and we're gonna pay them, or they're gonna go to Interdev and we're gonna pay Interdev? Any idea on that?
Do you know the answer to that, Madam Clerk?
I think we pay it.
Yeah, that's my
They're saying
understanding as
directly.
well.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so
Okay.
the invoice will come here, and obviously our we have finance administration consultants who will pay it, but it will come out of the operating fund of the city.
Of course.
Yeah. Good question. Any other questions? All right, hearing none, if I will make a motion to adopt the go-to phone system agreement and authorize the mayor to execute the agreement on behalf of the city of Mulberry for phone service in City Hall.
I have one more thing to say, I'm sorry. The agreement should not have tax on it. And it has, these are estimated taxes,
Estimated, yeah.
but they should be tax exempt. For the government entity. Sorry to throw a wrench in that.
Well, it does say 0.
He's talking about up
No.
here.
It's an estimated monthly pay, yeah.
Oh.
But then it says estimated taxes down here, 0 at the bottom.
Wonder why
Might
there'd
be a typo.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say, I wonder why there would be estimated taxes in one section but not the other.
Because it's
I mean,
included in the total.
It does say the total is $157, which is above the $145 monthly charge. So that $157.64 is including taxes.
Yeah.
I mean, we just, for,
So what do you propose, Mayor Pro Tem? You propose adopting it and then without the taxes, or you propose an amendment with?
can I propose to adopt it at the, cost of $145 a month?
Mr. Riley, you got any input on that?
I would suggest Mayor and Mayor Pro Tem is you just go ahead and adopt it and authorize us to speak to AT&T to have them remove it.
Okay. So to adopt it pending the removal of the taxes?
I would simply ask that you adopt it,
Okay.
and then we'll work towards getting it removed. At this point in time, we would need to move forward with it.
Okay.
And we'll work towards making the major corporation understand that we're
Right.
tax exempt.
Alright.
We'll just short pay them.
Alright, so we have a motion, I'll second it.
I'll let you make the motion since we.
Sure thing. I'll make a motion to, adopt, the go-to phone system agreement for City Hall as presented.
Okay, and do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Councilman Sullivan. Any discussion? Hearing none, I will call a vote. All in favor? All opposed? All right, by a vote of 5, the quote as provided from the go-to-phone system, and the mayor is authorized to execute an agreement pending discussion with the company about the sales tax. Okay, that brings us to item L, which is the discussion of the Planning and Zoning Commission as well as the Planning and Zoning Board of Appeals. So there are 2 entities, I mentioned this at the start of the meeting, that we as a body are putting together. And so the first one is the Planning and Zoning Commission. This will be the group of individuals who will hear requests for rezones or variances within the city of Mulberry. You heard, I'm gonna give each of the council members an opportunity to speak if they would like to about what they're looking for or any discussions that they would like to have. But we are going to appoint people for that board. The second board is the Zoning Board of Appeals. So that is the organization, that is a separate body that if someone wishes to appeal their zoning decision, you would first go to that Zoning Board of Appeals. So it's 2 separate bodies. So we will need volunteers from the community. Unfortunately, it's not a paid position, but we will need volunteers from the community that love this community, want to serve this community, want to see Mulberry succeed, and to serve on both of those. Does any of the council have any discussion items or comments about those 2 boards or the search?
We talked, correct me if I'm wrong, it seems like we talked that we would each recommend 2 people, 1 for each board, but the whole 5 council would vote on every one of them individually, is that correct?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's my understanding that the mayor, per the charter, the mayor's the one who would appoint the people to
Okay.
those boards. But obviously, out of respect to my fellow, councilmen, I mean, you guys have done a phenomenal job. I think it makes more sense for you to recommend someone for your district for the mayor to then appoint to the commission. So instead of, I would like all of our input in this instead of just the mayor, so.
Yeah.
Do we have a time frame when we're looking to start this up?
Yeah, do we have, any recommendation on that, Mr. Riley or Rebecca, as far as when you would like to have the zoning board up and running?
The zoning board of appeals is not necessarily as quick as the planning commission. It's my understanding that we were adopting, have the planning commission in place. Did we not do it as of February 1st? So as of February 1st, so, you need to appoint it in the next, within the next
Soon.
couple of sessions. Well, there's an effective commission, as of February 1st, but there's a notice time that we would have to give notice for a hearing and posting of properties and all of those other things, so it's not so exigent that you have to move it forward onto it tonight, but I would say in the next meeting or 2 that you need to go ahead and make some decisions on it, and that way we could have everybody in. There's some training that we're gonna want to have involved, especially the planning commission, and then, so, once the time comes, they'll be ready to go.
Thank you. And
I have one more question, I'm sorry. Is there state mandated training for planning commission?
I-
No?
There's no state mandate.
There are opportunities, but no state mandated.
Okay. And the council can offer to pay for those trainings for the planning board?
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
set those-
You just have to pay them.
It's a volunteer board, but the cost of the board, can be borne by you.
Okay.
Yeah, and I personally would recommend that anyone who wanted to be on the planning commission undergo that training.
I
Even
Absolutely.
if it's not required, I think it would be best for
It'd
us
be my
to have,
requirement.
right, to have people to do that. So I will say for my district, I've reached out, I've had quite a bit of interest. I have set up interviews for people for next week. So if you are interested, please now's the time to reach out to me if you live in District 2. and I'd be more than happy to get you an interview scheduled here at City Hall for that position.
Yeah, I would like to echo that as well. I've got 4 or 5 people that have reached out to me already, and I do plan on setting up interviews next week when time permits and stuff. So again, if anybody's from District 1 and has an interest, or if you know of people that do, have them reach out and let me know. We'll get them in the pot, or the hat.
And anybody that watches this, I've had about 10 people reach out to me as well. And I will schedule time to talk to all those individuals, one-on-one and face-to-face up here at City Hall as well.
Yeah, I think it probably goes without saying, all of us have a similar process. So if you have an interest, reach out to your relevant person in district, and we will schedule time to meet with everybody, as appropriate or via phone.
Does the council feel comfortable? Do you feel like we could come? Our next meeting is next Thursday. Do you think you could come with a name by next Thursday, or do you think we need more time than that?
For both boards or for?
I think
one
we
board?
just start with the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Okay.
If you want to go ahead and interview for the Zoning Board of Appeals, I think you could do that as well. But per Mr. Riley, I think we have a little more time on that one.
Okay. Yeah.
So do you think you could have it done by next Thursday, or do you need another week?
I would say another week, not having reached out to anybody, not knowing what other people's schedules are.
And it would actually be 2 weeks after that, because we start the bi-weekly meetings after next week.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
And
that should be doable.
Well, I'm
Within
saying
2
I
weeks.
think it would be 3 weeks,
Yeah,
because,
'cause-
so we have a meeting, so for the public, we have a meeting next week. So we were weekly in the month of January, if you've been following our schedule. We go to bi-weekly in February, so we have one the first and the third Thursday in February. So what Mayor Pro Tem is saying is, if we don't do it next
I
week,
got you.
the next meeting would be for 2 more weeks after that.
Sure.
So I think we should really push to have somebody this week, if possible, by next Thursday. I mean, obviously, we can, if you need more time, or, you don't feel comfortable at that point, we can certainly extend, but I would urge my fellow council members, I think we could have somebody by next week, if possible.
Yeah,
Okay?
I think what I'd say, Mayor, is, I think, Tim, this is where you're coming from, is maybe we pursue that as a goal.
Yeah.
And should we find ourselves in a situation next week where we don't think we're giving everyone a fair shake, we raise a flag and push it down to the next appropriate point, right?
Yeah.
I'm fine with that. I don't want anything that's gonna obviously delay, people who want to seek a variance or who wanna come before the zoning
Yeah,
board.
no.
I don't want anything to them to ever be waiting on us. I don't mind if they're waiting on Gwinnett County or they're waiting
Yeah.
on something else, but as far as that goes, I'd like for us to stay diligent on that so that we are always, the public's always ready to go, so. Okay, well, let's do that. Let's set a goal for next Thursday, okay? And then if we can't or we need to punt it, we will certainly do that, okay? Any other discussion on item L, those 2 items? Okay, perfect. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes all the action items for tonight. The next thing, if you've been to our meetings before, you know that some meetings we have executive session. We have on the agenda executive session for purposes of litigation, to discuss litigation against the city, as well as to discuss employment matters. If you would like to stick around, as I've said in the past, you are more than welcome to. All we're gonna do, we're gonna retreat to a private room. We probably will retreat over there or find a different location. If you do stick around, you're more than welcome to stay. When we come back, all we will do is vote on any items. We'll say, hey, do we agree with what we just talked about? Yes, no, and then we'll make a motion to adjourn. So there's gonna be no more action items, so now's a good time to leave if you'd like to go home. Obviously, if you'd like to stay, we'd more than likely to have you. So at this time, I will make a motion to move into executive session for purposes of discussing litigation and employment matters. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All right, hearing none, I'll call a vote. All in favor? All opposed? All right, thank you. So at this time, we'll go into executive session. For those that are leaving, thank you for coming tonight. We appreciate it. We're back. At this time, I will take a motion to end the executive session.
Make a motion to end the executive session from today.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
You got a second?
Thank you, Councilmember Sullivan. Any other discussion? This time I'll call a vote. All in favor? All opposed? Okay, executive session is hereby closed for purposes of litigation, to discuss litigation and employment. At this time, that is all the matters we have for tonight. Thank you, everyone, for coming. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Ingram. Any discussion?
No,
All
sir.
right, at this time I'll call a vote. All in favor? All opposed? All right, we are adjourned. Thank you very much.